Next up, with a Ratatouille themed dance, we had Andy and Emma doing a Viennese waltz. I will say that I have seen a little bit more clarity in his movement. However, with the Viennese waltz, he's lacking that momentum. So Carrie Ann talked about locking his knees. That's what's preventing him from going full force in the Viennese waltz. If you compare it to Alex's Viennese waltz, they had much more momentum. They were covering much more ground on the floor than Andy and Emma. Also, I didn't see a Viennese cross. That also helps you get the momentum. There's a certain section in the Viennese waltz footwork where your foot crosses in front of the other. That also helps with the rotation of the dance. He missed that a lot, and that is an essential step to the Viennese waltz. But once again, he is still here for a purpose and a reason, and he just needs to keep pushing and pushing through. Next up, we had Robert and Whitney with a Cha Cha. I love this song choice for the Cha Cha. Zootopia is a great movie, by the way. He is such a great leader. He has such a good sense of direction, and he has a good gauge of where his partner should be and where they need to go. Once again, he was looking a little rigid in the hips. Carrie Ann made some great points. You guys like to boo Carrie Ann, but she actually knows what she's talking about. As dancers and athletes, we need to find the perfect balance of engaging our core and back muscles. Because if our core is not engaged, then we're floppy and flimsy. But if our core is too engaged and we're flexing our muscles too much, like Carrie Ann said, then we get to become rigid. And I think that is what is holding Robert back is he's flexing too much. He's over engaging his muscles, and that's creating the rigidness that you're seeing. Because once again, this is a Latin piece, and we need to see a little bit more fluidity in the upper body. So I would say to him, maybe breathe a little bit more in the movements. But overall, I thought he did a great job. Another thing that I noticed with Robert is when he does a New Yorker, which are the crossover steps, he shouldn't drop all of his energy. Like that is a picture moment in the ballroom world when you do those crossover breaks or those New Yorkers. So he needs to make sure that he watches his height. He doesn't need to drop all his weight down when he hits certain poses. Next up, we had Elaine and Alan with a quick step. The visuals on this were amazing. I agree with Derek. I felt like I was on the Space Mountain ride when I was looking at this. Much better frame and much better timing in this dance. Once again, I would just watch the body contact and the spacing on certain parts, but this was a fantastic quick step. And once again, the visual lighting, costume, makeup, it just was really well done. Next up, we have Whitney and Mark with a foxtrot. For me, this was the best dance of the night. I really loved how she was getting into the character of the dance. I was concerned that she would have too much of an attack to the foxtrot, but it was the perfect amount of gliding and smoothness, and the choreography was genius. So kudos to Mark. One thing I will say is she can do a little too much lip singing at times. And I know in the TikTok world, lip singing is great, but in the ballroom world, it can be a little bit distracting. So I would just tone it down a little bit with the lip singing. But like I said, best dance of the night, Whitney and Mark, top of the leaderboard. They deserve that 9. We had Jordan and Ezra with their quick step. They had a really nice frame and posture. I really loved how she kept up with Ezra, and she wasn't ahead of the beat. She was right in step and time with Ezra. Something that I would warn her about, and it's just such a minor detail, is she needs to make sure that her chin stays lifted. Okay, sometimes she can send her chin back and down, which can disrupt the frame. So she just needs to remember to keep that chin up. But overall, she did a great job. She looked beautiful as Princess Tiana, and I'm seeing so much growth from Jordan. Next up, we had Jen and Jan with a jazz routine. Similar to Whitney, I think this goes back to the TikTok culture, a little too much lip singing. Okay, so I know Aladdin, Friend Like Me, such a great song, but she does need to tone it down a little bit with the lip singing because it is distracting. I think what Carrie Ann was meaning to say is she wanted to see more interaction with them as a couple. Even though this is a jazz dance, this is still in the context of a ballroom partnership. So I think she would have liked them to do more stuff together rather than individualized tricks. So I think that's what Carrie Ann was trying to say. But overall, it was a good dance and they did a good job. So, those are my thoughts and opinions on Dancing with the Stars Disney Night. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and follow for more. And I will see you next week for Dedication Night. Thank you.